Hey there, it's Louie, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to crochet an adorable little T-Rex. Now if you end up liking this video by the end and you want to check out more of my dinosaur patterns, you can see a couple in the background here, make sure to go to clubcrochet.com/dino and you can find all of these patterns. There's a little Stegosaurus, a Triceratops, and a cool Brontosaurus. Yeah, you can find all those patterns if you end up liking this video at the end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put these guys to the side. But for this video, I'm going to be crocheting a T-Rex. Now, we're going to be making it more of the upgraded version of the pattern, including a little belly and some back spikes. Here you can see one with a little bit longer of back spikes here. But you can also make it just plain, just a regular old dinosaur like this. And I've even made some with a top hat and bow tie. You can add little things to it. I think this is a really cute pattern. Now, there are some tricks when it comes to this pattern, specifically when it comes to the feet. I had to make up a new stitch for this. I don't really have a name for this stitch, so I'm just calling it like the T-Rex foot. And we'll have to be doing some fancy work when it comes to the hands and the fin. So I wouldn't say this is necessarily a beginner pattern. If you are a complete beginner, you probably will have a little bit of difficulty when it comes to specific parts of this pattern. So you might want to try some other patterns out first. That being said, it is definitely doable, and this whole video tutorial should help out a lot. And if you're following along with the written instructions, there should be time codes to these specific parts of the pattern if you get stuck. Okay, so for this pattern, you're going to need the following materials. I'm using all worsted weight yarn in 100% cotton. You will need 2 different colors plus white. So your main color, in our case, that's going to be this dark green. You'll need a secondary color, which is going to be for the belly. In our case, that's going to be this lighter green. And then you'll need some white for the teeth. Because I'm using all worsted weight yarn, I'm using a size G 4mm crochet hook. That's just because I'm using worsted weight cotton yarn. If you're using a different size yarn, you'll want, a larger crochet hook if you're using like bulky yarn or something like that. You'll also need some safety bead eyes. I'm using 6mm safety bead eyes. And you'll need some stuffing to stuff it up. And yeah, I think that's just about it. Okay, so to get started, we're going to start with crocheting our teeth. So for the teeth, we're going to start with our white yarn here, and you're going to want to start with a slip knot. So we're going to take the yarn, make a little loop, go over itself, and then pull that loop through to make a little knot, like so. I'm going to pull it on our crochet hook there. And the teeth are pretty easy. All we want to do is chain 3. So we got 1, 2, and 3, and you want to pull it tight. That'll create a little spike at the end there. And now we want to work into the back loop of the first chain that we made. So if we turn it on our back here, you can see this little spine of a loop. Not these 2 V's right there, but on the back right there. We want to work our crochet hook into that back loop, like so. And we just want to do a single crochet into that back loop. So we just pull a loop through, then yarn over, and pull through 2. That's all you have to do for the teeth, really. You can finish off by just doing a chain. We can cut the yarn. You want to leave long enough of an end to sew it onto under the lip, but that's just about it. You don't really need too much of an end there. So just like that. And you want to make 2 of these to sew onto the lip, at least 2. You can add more. You can add like 4 teeth if you want, or even more. I would consider staying with an even amount of teeth if you can. So I'm going to go ahead and make a second one of these, and then we'll get started on the tail. Okay, next up for our tail, we're going to be using our main color. We're going to be calling this color A. We're going to start with a magic loop. Just go ahead and wrap it around your index finger 3 times, like that. And then I like to place it in between my middle and ring finger, like so. And then pull it in like this to make it kind of look like a little finger gun. Then you take your crochet hook. We'll go under the first 2 loops right here. And we'll yarn over with the 3rd loop and pull that under those first 2 loops. Then we will thread with the end that's attached to the ball of yarn, the same end that you pulled the loop through with, and pull that through the loop that you made. That'll create a chain, which will lock it into place. You can take it off your finger now. There we go. And for round 1 of the tail, we want to single crochet 3 times, just 3 times into the magic loop. So right here, we're going to start right there. We're just going to single crochet 3 times. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And now we can tighten this loop up. I like to pull the tail end, which will pull one of these 2 loops in a little bit. Now make sure to take note of which one it gets pulled in. It looks like it was this one right here, and you want to grab the one that this tail was pulling in and pull it down, which will tighten the other loop. You want to tighten it pretty tight, and then you want to pull this tail end, which will tighten all the loops. And you'll have a little solid little circle there. You don't want to cut this end because we're going to use it for sewing on the tail. And that will be the end of round 1 for the tail. For round 2, we want to start by working into the back loop only of the first stitch that we made. So I like to pull my loop out like this so that I have more mobility with my crochet hook, and get my crochet hook into the back loop only of that first stitch that we made. So the back loop, this would be, let me get a needle actually, it might help. This is both loops right here, okay? That's where we would normally work into, but we want to work only into the back loop, meaning the loop furthest away from us right there. So we want to get our crochet hook into that back loop. And this is only for the first stitch that we're going to be making. Pull that out. Get our crochet hook into that back loop. And we're going to do an increase into that back loop. So that means 2 single crochets. So we just pull a loop through and then pull a loop through 2. There's 1 single crochet. And we're going to go into the same back loop right here, pull a second loop through, and pull that through to finish our increase. That's going to be the start of round 2. For the rest of this round and for the rest of this piece, we'll be working into both loops. So that's the only part where we work into the back loop. So next we want to single crochet into the next 2 stitches, working into both loops. So we want to get under both of these loops right like that. And we want to work a single crochet in both of those. It's going to be 1, and then here's our next one. This part can be a little difficult, so be patient. Maybe crochet a little loosely if it's your first time. All right, and that's going to be the end of round 2 for the tail. For round 3, we're working into both loops again. We want to single crochet into the first stitch, which is right here. So we'll do a single crochet 1, and then we want to do an increase into the next right here. 2 and 3. And we want to repeat that one more time. So we'll do another single crochet into this stitch, and then another increase right here. Okay, and that's going to be the end of round 3. At the end of round 3, you should have 6 stitches around. So now there should be 6 stitches in the circle. You can kind of see how the tail is kind of forming. Okay, so for round 4, nice and easy, we're just going to be doing a single crochet into each stitch all the way around. This part's nice and easy. We'll just do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here is the 6th. There we go. That's going to be the end of round 4. For round 5, we'll do 2 single crochets and then an increase, and then repeat that. So we'll start with 2 single crochets. 1 and 2, and then we'll work an increase. 3 and 4, and we want to repeat that one more time. So 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then another increase right here. 3 and 4. Okay. Now you should have 8 stitches around at the end of this round. We're at the end of round 5 now. For round 6, we have a nice and easy round again. We're just going to do a single crochet into each stitch all the way around. And again, there should be 8 stitches around. So just 8 single crochets. We got 1, 2, and just take it 1 stitch at a time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now to finish up this tail, we just want to do a slip stitch into the next one right here. Just 1 slip stitch, so we just yarn over, pull through, and pull that through the loop like that. And then we can just cut the end of this yarn here. And we can just pull this all the way through. And we'll use this, these 2 ends to sew it onto the back of our dinosaur's body. So you can kind of see how that tail is working. See? Pretty cute. Okay, so now we got our teeth, we got our tail. And the next thing is the spikes. Now this is totally optional. You don't have to add spikes if you don't want to, but I think they're pretty cute. And you can make as many spikes as you want. You can probably even go over the tail with the spikes, but I haven't really tried that yet. So let's get our secondary yarn for these spikes. So we're going to be using color B for the spikes. Now color B is our secondary color. It's going to be this green yarn here. And for the spikes, we're going to be using slip knots and not a magic loop. So we want to do a slip knot like we did with our teeth, like so. And the spikes are pretty easy to do. To start, we just do chain 3. So we go 1, 2, and 3. And now we want to work into the back loops. So we want to turn our piece around. You can see these little spines right there. We want to work into those little loops for all these chains. So for the back loops, we want to single crochet single crochet 2 together into these next 2 chains. So how we do that is we take our crochet hook and we'll go into the first chain right here. Don't forget we're working into that back loop. It's easiest to use a nail to help you get into that back loop if you have one. And we'll just yarn over and pull a loop through. And then we'll go into the next back loop right here. Pull a second loop through. You should have 3 loops on the hook now. And then to finish this up, we're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook. And that's called a single crochet 2 together. And that's how you're going to make a little spike. So to continue this going, this next part is going to be the repeat, which is what you'll need to do. You can repeat it however many times you want to however many spikes you'd like. So to do that, we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, we're working into these back loops. We'll skip our first chain. I'm going to get our crochet hook into the second chain right here. And we're going to do a single crochet 2 together into this chain, into that chain. So we'll yarn over and pull a loop through that chain. And then go into the next chain right here. Like that. Make sure you're under all of the threads of your yarn. Pull a second loop through. And then yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook. And we'll repeat that as many times as you want for spikes. So let's do another repeat here. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skip our first chain, working into the back loop of the next chain right there. Going to get your crochet hook into that back loop. Make sure you're under all the threads. Pull a loop through. Go into the next chain right here. Like so. Pull a second loop through. And then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. So we got 3 spikes. I'm going to do 5 total. So let's do another 2. So chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skip our first chain and work into the back loop of the next chain and pull a loop through. Then go into the next back loop. Pull a second loop through. And then yarn over and pull through all 4 loops, all 3 loops on the hook. Okay, see how we got a little bit of a spike here going. Okay, one more. chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skip the first chain, back loop of the next one, like that. Pull a loop through. Then the next one right here. Get that crochet hook in there. That part can be really difficult. Pull a second loop through, and then yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook. Okay, so we have 5 spikes here. You can kind of see how they're going to be sewn on. And now to finish up, we want to chain 1. We want to cut the yarn. We want to leave enough to sew onto the back. So let's say like that much, like a couple of, maybe like 1.5 feet worth. And then we'll just pull that loop all the way through after we did that first chain. Okay, so we got our spikes, we got our tail, we got our teeth. Now we can finally start working on the body. Okay, so for the body, we're going to be using our color A, which is our dark green color for our piece. And we're going to start with a slip knot again, just like our spikes and our teeth. Get our crochet hook in there, pull it a little tight. And we want to start with 4 chains, so chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pretty easy. Now we want to skip our first chain and we want to single crochet into the next 2 chains. Okay, so just 1 single crochet into the next 2. So there's 1 and 2. Into the 3rd chain, we want to single crochet 3 times. So 3 times into that 3rd chain. So 1, 2, and 3. And you can see our piece kind of naturally turns around because we're adding those 3 chains in there, which is perfect. We want to now turn our piece 180 degrees and we're going to be working into the bottom of the chains. Okay, so we want to work into the next chain, which is right there. Okay, so this is the chain we worked into for our 3 single crochets. Into our next one right here, we want to do 1 single crochet. And then into the last chain, which is going to be right here, we want to work another 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And it kind of naturally overlaps the first stitch that you made, but if you want to count your stitches, you should have 9 stitches around. Okay, so that's the end of round 1. For round 2, we're going to skip the first stitch, the one that it kind of naturally overlaps. You can kind of see it right there. We want to skip that one, and we're going to start into the next chain over right here. And we're going to single crochet 1 into the next stitch. So there's 1. And then we'll increase 3 times. So an increase means 2 single crochets. So we got 1 increase into the next stitch, and then go into the next one, do a second increase. And then 1 more increase. And we're doing those, all 3 of those increases are in different stitches. Now we want to do another single crochet into the next stitch. And then do 3 increases again. So there's 1 increase. Here's 2 increases. And here is the 3rd increase. Okay, now you should have 14 stitches around for the end of round 2 here. You can kind of see how we're making a bit of an oval. Okay, so for round 3, we're going to start by doing a single crochet into the first stitch right here. And then we're going to do a repeat of doing 1 single crochet and then an increase. We're going to repeat that 3 times. So let's start with our first repeat. We'll do a single crochet and then an increase. 1 and 2. Okay, so there's our first single crochet, and then we did a repeat of another single crochet and then an increase. We want to repeat that 3 times. So let's do a second repeat. Single crochet and then an increase. Single crochet for our last repeat and then an increase. Okay, that's the end of our 3 repeats. We're going to do those repeats again in just a second though. So after you've done those 3 repeats, we'll do another single crochet and then do those repeats one more time, 3 times in a row. So we'll do a single crochet and then an increase. So there's our first of our next 3 increases. So there's one, here's our second one, we do a single crochet, then an increase, and one more single crochet, and then an increase. Okay, now you should have 20 stitches by the end of round 3. Okay, let's get a secondary strand of yarn here so we can keep track of where our rounds are. I think it might help, so you can know where the end of each round is. So I'm just gonna hold this in between our ends here when we start our next round. So that way you can tell this is gonna be the end of the round. Okay, so now we are on round 4. And for round 4, we're going to single crochet 5. So first we're gonna work around this tail end, like that. Okay, so now you know that's the end. We're gonna single crochet 5. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 single crochets, and then we want to work an increase. So 2 single crochets into the next stitch right there. So 5 single crochets, an increase, and then we're going to do another single crochet. Okay, and then another increase. So again, that's 5 single crochets, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, another increase, and to finish this off, we're going to be doing 12 single crochets to get to the end of the round. 1, 2. Basically, we'll just be single crocheting all the way until we get to the other side. So let's just go ahead and do that. That's why we add this marker so we can tell where the end of the round is. Makes it a little bit easier to tell where to continue. And by the end of this round, you should have 22 stitches. This is the end of round 4. 1, and there we go. And we're going to work around this end again. Let's go ahead and pull it a little longer. Work around that end. Okay, so for round 5, we're going to be doing the nostrils, which are going to be a little tricky. So just keep track. This is the next tricky part of this pattern. Every few rounds I have a little trick to add a new feature. So for round 5, we're going to single crochet 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And for now we're going to do a nostril. For a nostril, we're going to be doing a double crochet working into the stitch from the round above. Okay, so just 1 double crochet. So we're going to yarn over for a double crochet. Now we're going to get our crochet hook into the round above, which is going to be the increase. So right here, instead of working right there, we're going to work right there. Okay, so get your crochet hook into the round above, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops. That's going to make a little nostril. Okay, so we got a double crochet into the round above, and we're going to do that again in just a second. Now, we want to do 2 single crochets before the next nostril, and don't forget this stitch is the one, don't work into this stitch, work into the next stitch, because that's the one that we're replacing by doing the double crochet above. So skip that one, work into this one, do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then here's the next increase. You can see right there, we're going to work a double crochet into that one for our second nostril. Yarn over, go into that increase, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2. Okay, kind of see how those nostrils are getting created. There we go. Now to finish up round 5, we're going to be doing a single crochet all the way till we get to the end of the round. That's going to be 12 more single crochets. Don't forget to skip that second stitch in that increase. So don't forget to skip that one, because that's what we're replacing with our double crochet. So work into this one right here. And there should be 12 more single crochets. And by the end of this round, you should still have 22 stitches around. So if I'll show you how to count these stitches. You just want to count the V's at the top of the round. So let's just get to the end of this round here, and I'll show you. I'm just mentioning that because the nostrils could kind of get confusing. We're going to go ahead and pull this end over before we start our next round. I'll pull our loop out, and I'll show you how to count our stitches. So you can see this is the end of the round. So that's going to be our first stitch that we made right there. And we could just count around those V's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see that as you count around, the double crochet counts as a stitch right here. Okay, so let's do that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. So we got 22 stitches around. Okay, get our crochet hook back in there. And that's going to be the end of round 5. For round 6, we're going to be doing 3 single crochets. Oops, make sure to get that stitch marker up and over. So 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And now we want to work into the front loops only, meaning this loop right here. Okay, so this would be both loops, but we're only going to work into this one. And we want to work only in that front loop only, and we're going to do 11 single crochets working into that front loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Worked only into those front loops. And now we want to finish this round by doing a single crochet in the remaining 8 stitches. So 8 more single crochets. 1, 2, and we're working into both loops now, not into the front loop only. So these final 8 single crochets are worked into both loops. Okay, coming to the end here. Here we go. And that's going to be the end of round 6. We're going to pull our stitch marker over. Kind of see how our face is coming together. You can see our little nose right there. So for round 7, we're going to work 3 single crochets. Start by working around our stitch marker. And we'll do 1, 2, and 3. Again, we're working into both loops. Now we want to work into the back loops from the stitch from round 5. So how we worked into the front loops from the round before, we want to work into the back loops that we didn't work into. Okay, so that would be starting with this stitch right here. And the best way to find the first stitch that you need to work into is if you go and look where the last stitch is worked into right there, and you work into the back of it right like that, and you stick out through it. That, if you look on the other side, you should be able to get around like this, see? And you should be able to find, there's your first back loop. Okay, and here's where what it looks like. It kind of looks like, let me get a needle. Kind of looks like this is the first one, but that's not it. It's actually this one. Okay, so we want to work into those back loops from the round prior, and we want to do one single crochet. So 1 single crochet, and then a sharp decrease into the next 2. Now for a sharp decrease, we're going to go into the next back loop, pull a loop through like we're doing a single crochet, and then work into the next back loop, this one right here, pull a second loop through, and pull that second loop through the 2 on the hook. Okay, we want to do 2 of those. So there's 1 decrease. Let's do another sharp decrease. We'll go pull a second loop through, and then another one through, and pull that second one through the 2 on the hook, like that. Okay, so 1 single crochet, 2 decreases, and then another single crochet into the next back loop, and then make sure to flip that upper lip up so we can get into these back loops a little easier. And then we want to do 2 decreases and then another single crochet. So let's do another 2 decreases. Go into the next loop, pull a loop through like a single crochet, and then into the next loop, pull a second loop through, pull that second loop through the 2 on the hook. So there's 1. Let's do another decrease, pull a loop through, into the next one, pull a second loop through, pull that second one through the 2 on the hook. Okay, so again, that's 1 single crochet, 2 decreases, 1 single crochet, 2 decreases, and then finally 1 more single crochet into this last back loop. Oops. We want to make sure that we're in all of the yarn there and not accidentally threading the yarn. There we go. Okay, so those are going to be all the back loops. Now we can work back into both loops of the next stitches. So the next stitch is right here. Okay, so you might think it's that one, but it's actually this one right here. And we want to work a single crochet into the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oopsies, 6, 7, and 8. Now before I continue, I'm going to cut the end of this green yarn because we don't need it at all and it's just kind of getting in the way. I'm also going to cut the end of our stitch marker when it's closer in so we can get that one out of the way. So we only have one little straggler that we can use to keep track of the end of our yarn, our rounds. Okay, so that's going to be the end of round 7. For round 8 and 9, oh, here you can kind of see how the lip is formed now. So you can kind of see how there's our upper lip. Yeah. Okay, so for the next 2 rounds, rounds 8 and 9, that's 2 rounds in a row, we're just going to be doing a single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So we can pull this loop up, and we're just going to do a single crochet into each stitch all the way around. And there should be 18 stitches around for each round. So 2 rounds of just 18 single crochets. And you want to work into the stitches from our last round, not the front of the lip, but the inside of the lip right here. Because we're going to be sewing our teeth under that lip after this round. Okay, so there's the end of round 8 right here. Keep that stitch marker right there and do another round of single crochets for round 9. Easy enough, just 2 rounds of just single crochets all the way around. And after this, we'll also be messing around with color changes, so I'll have to teach you how to do that as well. But it's really not too difficult. And we don't have to do the color changes if you don't want to. It's just for adding colors to the belly. Okay, so we have 2 more stitches here. 1 and 2. And that's going to be the end of round 9. Pull that loop out a little bit, get our stitch marker out with the end of that loop there. Kind of see our little character coming together now. Now we want to add our teeth and our eyes. So first, let's sew on our teeth. Let's grab these from the side here. Now you can kind of see that there's a natural curve to the teeth, and you want that curve to be facing inwards towards the nose. So here you can see that one's curved in, and this one's curved out like that. Oh, let me turn that around like that. See how they kind of naturally have a curve? So we want them curved in like that instead of the other way around. So we'll thread in the outside of the curve right here on a needle. Okay, so the outside of the curve. And let's add our tooth on this side first. The placement for the teeth is I like to go under the farthest stitch of the end. You can see it kind of coming out through the top there. So I go under the tooth and go out through the top, but we don't want to actually go out through the top. That's just to know where we're going. We want to go in to the body. And just pull that almost all the way through, and then we can thread the second half of the tooth on. And if we flip the mouth open, you can kind of see where that stitch went in. We want to go into the stitch just over from that, right here. Okay. There we go. And we can pull these two ends until the knot gets pulled through with them. See, you can see how that knot gets pulled through? And we want to just double knot that on the inside with these two ends. There's one and two. And there's double knotted. And then we can just cut that knot pretty close, like right there. Throw this to the side. We can use it to stuff up our character in the end. You kind of see how that tooth is just barely poking on through. That's perfect. If you want it to be a little bit further, you can pull it out a little bit and it'll give you a little bit more tooth. So let's add a tooth on the other side. We're doing a very similar thing. We want to thread the outside of the curve first. So thread this end first. And we'll go into the other side of the lip. Okay, so we're going to go in from right here. So we go under the lip. I like poking up first to know I'm in the right place, and then make sure it's on the inside. And then thread the second part of the tooth. Fold that lip up. And we're going to go into one stitch over from where the first part is sewn on. We need to go over one stitch so that we can have something to double knot around. And then on the inside, we just pull until the knots poke on through, and we can just double knot that on the inside. One. And two. Okay, so we got that little end there. You could just cut that yarn, throw that to the side, and save it for stuffing. Okay, so we got our teeth on there now. Now we need to add our eyes. So I like using 6mm eyes for our piece. So here we got two little eyes. And we need our ends. There's our locking ends. The eyes I like to put just above where the teeth are. So the last stitch on the lip, like right there. Where your needle came out, basically, is where I like going in. Like right like that. Okay, there's one. And we'll put the second eye on the same spot on the other side where that where the needle came out. Like that. Okay, and on the inside, you'll see the end poking through. You want to take your little locking mechanism and just lock that into place as tightly as you can. There's one eye. Just really tightly get it on there. There's two. Okay, so now we have our face done. We can get back to crocheting. He's looking pretty cute. He's looking pretty cute. I like how derpy these guys look. I have to do one with more teeth. I have to give that a shot later. Okay, so we're going to pull our stitch marker up. Get our crochet hook in there. Okay, so now we are going to be on round 10. And for round 10, we're going to be doing something a little tricky. We're going to be doing color changes now. So when it comes to color changes, if you're reading the written part of the pattern, you'll see that there are some color changes that are one color / the second color. That means that you're going to, well, let's just show you. This round is going to be tricky, so take it just one stitch at a time, okay? So first we want to single crochet 4. I'm going to work around this end work 4 single crochets. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we want to make the arm. So for the arm, we're going to chain 3. So we go 1, 2, and 3, and pull that pretty tight. And then into the back loop of the first chain that you made, get it turned around so you can get that back loop right there. Just like how we did the teeth. Let's get that loop out a little bit. Just get right into that back loop. Like that. Make sure you use our nail so that we're under all those loops. Okay, so just into that back loop. We want to slip stitch 1. So I pull that loop, the loop tight, yarn over and pull that loop through, and then pull through 2. Okay, so there's 1. Now we want to chain 2 more. 1 and 2. Pull tight again, and then work into the same stitch that we just made that slip stitch into. Get our crochet hook into that chain, yarn over, pull through, then yarn over and pull through to make a slip stitch. And that's going to make one of the arms. You can kind of see how he's got those 2 little T-Rex fingers. And that's going to be how you crochet the arm. Okay. So we're going to do 2 of those arms, obviously, but now we want to single crochet 7 to get to the second arm. But within those 7 stitches, we want to do some color changes. So let's grab our secondary color right here, and we're going to do a single crochet into the next stitch, all in green, but you want to pull through with this lighter green to finish it off. So we're going to go into the next stitch. Here's our last stitch. We're going to go into this one right here, pull a loop through in our dark green, or our primary color, and then we want to flip under with our secondary color. So I like to take my index finger, go in between the 2 ends here, and flip under. Okay, so flip under that, yarn over with the secondary color. Oops, don't pull too tight. We don't want to lose that end. Make sure to hold that other end down with your index finger of your dominant hand. Yarn over with the secondary color and pull through those 2 loops to finish that single crochet. And then pull that green tighter. And if you feel like you wanted to lock that other yarn in earlier, that wouldn't work as well. Okay, so now we've pulled through with our secondary color. Now these next 4 stitches, we want the top to be secondary color, color B, and the bottom to be color A. So we're going to flip back under so that color A is on top, go into the next stitch, yarn over with color A and pull through, then switch back over to color B, floop, yarn over with color B and pull through 2. Okay, so there's 1 stitch that's color A, or color B on the top, color A on the bottom, and we're going to keep doing that. Okay, so pull through with color A, switch over to color B, yarn over and pull through with color B. There's 2, color A, and this is our last one. Switch over to color B, pull through with color B, then into the next stitch, switch back over to color A, pull through with color A, and now you can pull through all of them with color A. And that's just going to give you 4 stitches where the top of the loops are color B and the bottom of are color A. Okay, now we have 2 more single crochets before we get to the next arm. So let's work around color B for our first single crochet. We can continue in all green. We'll come back to this other color when we get back around. But for the meantime, we can cut it loose, pull it out, come back to it. So we got 1 single crochet. Here's 1 more. Okay, so in between arms, again, we have 7 single crochets with color changes in between. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4 of which are half color changes to have our secondary color on top. And that's going to be for creating the belly. Here you can kind of see. Okay? That's going to create a really sharp line to make the belly very clean and crisp. Okay, so we've done our 7 single crochets. Now let's do a second arm. For our second arm, again, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Pull tight. Go to our first chain that we made and work our crochet hook into the back loop of that first chain right there, yarn over and pull through, and then pull through again to make a slip knot. Now we want to chain 2, 1, 2, do the same thing, pull it tight, and work into the same back loop that we just did a slip stitch into. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through to make a slip stitch. That's going to be our little hands. And now we can finish by just single crocheting into the remaining 7 stitches. So that's 1, I think, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there is 7. Pull that loop over. That's going to be the end of round 10. Okay, so now we're on round 11, and for round 11, we're just going to be doing single crochets into each stitch all the way around, but we want to make sure we work around our little dino hands here. Okay, so the dino hands are going to be on the outside. We're not going to work into them. Okay, so we're just going to do single crochets in each stitch around. Now, when you get to this green yarn, we're going to switch to our color B. So in that, we're going to do 5 stitches in color A, and then 5 stitches in color B, and then 8 stitches in color A. So we have 18 stitches around. Okay, so let's do that. We got 5 stitches in color A, all single crochets all the way around. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure to work around this arm, so keep it on the outside. Get into a next one right here. Pull a loop through. Let's not pull this all the way through just yet, because now we want to change to our color B. So let's get our color B. Place it in between the 2 loops on the hook and the loop attached to the end of the yarn. Hold it down with our index finger of our dominant hand. Take our non-dominant index finger and hold it in between the 2 loops. And we're just going to flip that under, yarn over with the new color, pull it through those 2 loops, and now we've switched to our color B. Pull that tighter. Okay, now we want to do 5 stitches, single crochets in color B. So that's 1. If you want, you can just work around color A for the 5 stitches. 2, 3, 4, and there's our 5th one. Now after our 5th one, we want to change back to our color A. So we flip it back under, yarn over with color A, and pull through. Pull that other one tight. Now we're going to keep going and single crocheting around in color A for the next 8 stitches. So I worked around color B for 1 stitch there just to lock it into place, and then I can cut it loose. Get that aside, and we'll come back to it when we come back around. Okay. Now don't forget to work around our arms here. So we want to work into the next stitch, but not into the arms. Just do single crochets. So there's 1. Make sure that arm is facing outward. And just get all the way around with our single crochets. And now, again, you should have 18 stitches around for this round. Okay, so you can see how our piece is coming together. He's got his little hands. Look how cute those things are. Got a little face. He's coming together. I like him a lot. Here's our stitch counters. They kind of look cool, actually. Okay. So pull our next counter up like that. For the next 2 rounds, rounds 12 and 13, it's going to be just single crochets all the way around, and the color changes are the exact same for the 2 rounds. So let's just do each one individually, though. For round 12, we're going to be doing a single crochet in each stitch around, 5 in color A, 6 in color B, 7 in color A. Okay, so 5 in color A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's not pull through with our dark green for our 5th one. And instead, we're going to grab our new color, color B, Put it in between the loops on the hook and the loops attached to the yarn. Hold it down with the index finger of our dominant hand. Flip it under, yarn over, and pull through with our new color. And then 6 stitches in color B. 1, again, these are all single crochets. 2, I'm working around the color A. 3, 4, 5, and finally, here's our 6th one. Switch back over to color A, yarn over and pull through, pull that tighter, and then keep going in color A. 1 stitch, I only single crochet in 1 stitch around color B, and I can cut it, toss that to the side. And we'll just keep going around for this end. And we're going to do that for another round, the same exact stitches, same exact color changes, one more time around. But that's going to be the end of round 12. Let's continue for round 13 and move that stitch counter up. And again, that's 5 in color A. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But let's not pull through with our new color. Instead, grab our first color. Instead, grab color B. Put it in between, switch over to color B and pull through. And now 6 in color B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now change back to color A. And then finish up with 7 single crochets in color A. Let's get rid of this color B. We'll come back to it in the end of the next, or for the next round for the belly. This is going to be the end of round 13 coming up. 1, 2, and then here's our last one right here. Okay, so that's going to be the end of round 13. Now this next round is difficult. I'm not going to lie. We are making the feet, and the feet are very tricky. So just go slowly, very slowly, which is what I'm going to try to do in this video. And we'll try to go one step at a time. We're going to grab our secondary color already. Okay, so for round 14, there's 4 single crochets, and then we'll work our leg. So first, let's do our 4 single crochets. 1, 2, let's do 3, and then in this 4th one, let's work around color B, just so we have it in place. Okay, so just locked in place, because we're going to change to this after our leg, so we want to make our leg first. Okay, so for the leg, this is going to be all worked into the same stitch, and it's all worked into the stitch from the round above. Okay, so it's going to be all worked into right here. Okay, not into this stitch, but right up, all the way up here. Okay, so we're going to take this one step at a time, and every stitch we're going to work around color B. So for step 1, we're going to yarn over and insert the stitch into the stitch from the round above right here. Now we're going to yarn over and pull through. And now we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay? So that's easy enough. There's step 1. For step 2, we're going to do that again. Yarn over, go into the round above, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Okay? Step 2 done. For step 3, with the loop still on the hook, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we want to work into the back loop of the first chain that we made there. So right here, this back loop, get your crochet hook into that back loop and do a slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through that loop, and then pull through 1. Okay, so there's step 3. For step 4, we want to repeat steps 1 through 3, just one time, okay? So let's do step 1 again. We yarn over, we go into the stitch above right here, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. For step 2, we yarn over, go into the round above, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And then for step 3, we do that chain thing again. So we're going to yarn over and chain 2. 1, 2, pull that a little tighter, get into the back loop right here, and do a slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through that loop, and then pull through one of the loops on the hook. Okay? So that's step 4 done. We repeated those 3 rounds. And for step 5, we want to repeat step 1 one more time. So we yarn over, go into the round above, pull through, then yarn over and pull through 2. So there's 1 and 2. Okay? Now to finish up this, for our last step, we want to yarn over and pull through all loops on the hook. There should be 6 loops. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull through all those loops. Okay, and there you can see our little foot has been made. I know that's difficult. We're going to do that again in a second, so if you want to watch again, I'll go ahead and do it again in a second. For our next 5 stitches, we want to single crochet into the next 5 stitches, and we want to work the half color A and half color B. So we want the bottoms to be B, the tops to be A. So we flip over so that color B is on top and go into the next stitch, which is our first color B stitch right here. Yarn over and pull through with color B, and then we want to flip over for color A. Flip back over under, yarn over, and pull through with color A. And we want to do that for the next 6 stitches. So there's 1, switch back to B, into the next stitch, pull through with B, switch back to A, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do it again. There's 1, 2. Okay, B, into the stitch, pull through, A, pull through, 2. Okay, B, stitch, pull through, A, pull through 2. Okay, just a few more, 2 more. B, into the stitch, pull through, A, pull through 2. 1 more, B, into the stitch, pull through, A, pull through 2. Now we're going to do another foot into the round above, and we'll do it equally as slow. Okay. This is the hardest round, but we're almost done. This is the end of that difficultness. Okay, so again, for the leg, we're going to yarn over. I'm just going to work around this color B for this stitch, but we don't need to change back to color B. So we can just work around it, and then we'll cut it after this round. Okay, so again, that's yarn over. Go into the stitch from the round above, right there. Go into that stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. That's going to be step 1. Okay, so there's step 1. For step 2, repeat step 1. Yarn over, go into the into the stitch, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, step 2 is done. For step 3, we're going to be chaining 2, 1 and 2. Work into the back loop of the first chain made right here. Yarn over and slip stitch. Pull through that loop and then pull through one of the loops on the hook. Okay, so there's step 1 through 3 is done. For step 4, we're going to repeat steps 1 through 3 one more time. So again, for step 1, we yarn over into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, step 2, repeat that one more time. Yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Step 3, chain 2, 1 and 2. Work into the back loop of our first chain that we made right here. and slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through, pull through. Okay, so there's steps 1 through 3 repeated. Okay, for step 5, repeat step 1. So you should yarn over, go into the stitch, pull through, yarn over, and pull through 2. There we go. Now it should be 6 stitches on the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn over and pull through all those loops. Here we go. Make sure that toe is out. There we go. Okay, so that's going to be the second leg. Now to finish this up, just do 6 single crochets to the end of the round, all in color A. So here's our first one right there. That's kind of a hard one to get into. There you go. There we go. Now we can cut this color B because we don't need it anymore. We can actually throw that to the side. We don't need to use that color at all for the rest of this pattern. Okay, so we're just going to keep single crocheting until we get to the end of this round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's going to be the end of round 14. Okay, so for round 15, we're going to be working all in color A, and we're going to be decreasing down. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull our stitch marker up like that. We're going to do a single crochet into the first stitch right here, 1 single crochet, and then we're going to do a sharp decrease into the next. Go into the next loop, pull through, into the next loop, pull a second loop through, pull that second through the 2 on the hook. We did that in the lip, in the bottom of the lip too. So we're going to repeat that process 6 times total. So 1 single crochet and then a sharp decrease 6 times in a row. So here's our second repeat. Single crochet, sharp decrease, 1 loop, 2 loops, pull through. So keep doing that. Single crochet, sharp decrease, 1 loop, 2 loop, decrease, single crochet, and then sharp decrease. And this is going to bring you down from 18 stitches to 12 stitches around. So you should have 12 stitches by the end of round 15 here. Okay, 1 more repeat, single crochet, and then sharp decrease. Boom. Okay, so we only have 1 more round to do. So before we do that round, let's go ahead and get everything ready by sewing on the tail and adding the spikes. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, we're going to just sew on the tail. We're going to add the spikes afterwards. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all these stitch markers out because we don't really need them anymore, since we only have 1 more round. Okay, so throw that to the side. And let's go ahead and stuff it just a little bit with just our little ends there. And let's grab our tail. We'll sew this on. So we want to start by threading the inside. There's going to be 2 ends to this tail. I want to start by threading the inside of the tail on a needle. And let's place it where we want it on the back. So let's go like right here. Well, we want it right in the middle, you know. So look for where the middle is, and let's go like right. Let's say in the center of that stitch. Pull that loop through. Now we're going to thread the other end of the tail. Thread that on a needle. And this part can be a little bit tricky. We want to just sew around where this is. There should be 8 stitches. So we got 1, 2, 3, let's say 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 is going to be the first one again. So let's go 1 right here. That's going to be the last stitch. Okay, so the first stitch, wherever our end is, we're going to go into that one, out through the next stitch above. Then we're going to go work around the top of our next stitch on the tail, then in through the same stitch we're coming out, and then out through the next stitch above. Pull that a little tight. In through the next stitch on the tail, out through the same stitch we're coming out of, and then we're going to work across. Let's go like, well, let's see. Let's count our stitches here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more stitches to work on in the tail. So that means that we have, if we count on the body, we need 6 places to put that. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say 6 where we started. Okay, so we're just going to work our way across. So out through the next stitch over on the body, in through the next stitch on the tail, in through the same stitch you came out, and out through the next stitch on the body, in through the next stitch on the tail, in through the same stitch we came out, and then down 1 on the body. Now before I continue, let's stuff this tail just a little tiny bit. You don't want to stuff it too much. That's very important. It's easiest to use like a stick for this. I like to use a little skewer. This is way too much stuffing. You just need like that much. Okay. There we go. We'll keep working around. Next stitch on the body, or on the tail, in through the next stitch on the body, and we've got down 1 more stitch. We've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Great. Out through the body, in through the next stitch on the tail, in through the same stitch you came out, and then out through the next stitch on the body. Pull that tighter. Tail, same stitch, and then out through the first stitch that you worked into right here, and then down through the same stitch on the tail, and then out through the inside of your piece. Okay, and we're going to double knot. Make sure to watch out for this end. This is the end attached to the ball of yarn. So watch out for that, but double knot these 2 ends that you're worked with for the tail. We'll just go ahead and double knot that. We can cut that loose, nice and close. Throw that to the side. We got our tail end here. Okay. Now, before I continue to do our last round on the body, let's stuff it up as much as we, just a decent amount right now. Just stuff it slightly, I guess is the right way to say that. We'll use our little ends as well. Stuff it with that. Get all that stuffing up there. Okay. That's probably enough for right now. We're going to stuff it more after our next round. So now we can get back to the body. Hey, there we go. Pull it tighter. Okay. For our last round on our body, we just want to decrease 6 times around. So we're going to go into this next stitch right here, pull a loop through, next stitch right here, pull a second loop through, and pull that second loop through the 2 on the hook. Okay, so 6 decreases. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whew, and last one right here, 6. Okay. Now we can finish up by cutting the yarn. You want enough to sew it closed. And we just pull that loop all the way out, and now we can stuff it as much as we'd like it to be stuffed. Which you want it, you want it decently stuffed. And just go ahead and stuff it up. Okay. That's pretty good. Let's add just a little tiny bit more stuffing. Just make sure that he's dense all the way from the top to the bottom. Okay, that's probably pretty good. Now we can just sew it closed. So I like to thread this on the end of a needle. And I like to count over 6 stitches. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's do 1, 2, 3. 3 stitches over, in, and then out through the same stitch you worked into for the end of this round. And then down through our 4th stitch. So if that was our 3rd, we go down through the next stitch right here, out through our 1st stitch right there. Pull that first one tight. Out down through our 5th stitch, which is our next stitch over, if you follow along right there. Then out through our 2nd stitch right there. Once you have that through, you can pull that loop tighter. And then finally go down through our 6th stitch, which is right there. Then out through really anywhere you want on the body. Pull that tight. And then we can go back through that stitch and then back through the bottom like that. Okay. We can cut the yarn really close. And there is our little T-Rex. It looks pretty cute. But you know what would be cuter? Let's add our spines. So let's grab our spines and I'll show you how to sew these on. You want to start with the long end. You'll have 2 ends here. This is our first tail end. This is going to be the long one. So we want to thread with the long end. Get all that out of the way. Thread that on the needle. And we're going to start at the top of our head in the last stitch that we made right here. Okay, so this is kind of a confusing little bit, but we want to start by going into 1 stitch and then, I don't know how to explain this best other than just to do it. So we're going to start by going in through the last stitch in the top of the head right here and coming out through the stitch above right there. Now you want to work around the base of this spike. So just into the bottom of it right there, and then down through the next stitch over on the body right there. Then out through the next stitch up, which is going to be right there. Okay, now you want to go around the top of it, around this connecting chain that's going to connect the spikes. So go around that chain and in through the same stitch you came out of, and then out through the next stitch above, right there. Make sure it goes around that chain and then pull it tight around that chain like that. Then you want to go around the body again. So just around the body of the next spike right here. Then down through the next stitch over on the body. Then out through the next stitch up on the body. Now go around the body thing again. Work around that chain that's connecting the two. In through the same stitch you just came out of. And then out through the next stitch up on the body. And we're just going to keep doing that all the way up. You can kind of see how it's adding those spikes in. So now in through the body of the next spike, in through the body of the next stitch over on our T-Rex, and out through the top right there. We want to make sure it's as even as we can, like straight as we can for the spikes. And then around that chain connecting the 2 spikes, in through the same stitch it came out of, and then out through the next stitch up. Make sure to get around that spike and make sure it's only around that chain and pull that tight. Okay, see how it's coming together? Okay, now we have another one of a spike, so we go around the spike, in through the next stitch up, and out through the next stitch up on our body. And then around the chain, we're going to have one more in through the same stitch you came out of, out through the next stitch on the body, and then around the last stitch on our spike right here, in through, let's just go in through the same stitch that we just went out of to make it as straight as we can. And we'll just come out somewhere on the body, just like anywhere really. Okay, now finally, we want to thread our other end of our spike right here. Go down through the next stitch above right there, and then out through the same stitch you came out of with the end, like so. Okay, see how our spikes are sewn on. Make sure they're where we want them to be. Yeah, and then we can just double knot these 2 and cut it loose. Let's just double knot it. 1 and 2. We're going to cut that double knot nice and close, like that. Use the back end of your needle and stuff that back into the body. Make sure all the spikes are flat. And there we go. Let's make sure the tail is up a little bit. Keep them standing up straight. There we go. We have our little tiny T-Rex. Isn't he so cute? Oh my gosh, he's so cute. All right, well, thank you so much for crocheting this. If you were able to finish this and you're still watching this video, please let me know. Send me an email, send me a comment in the comments below. Any way you can, let me know. I'd really like to know how many people actually complete this pattern, because I know it's very difficult. So I'd love to see your finished projects. If you'd like, you can email me at louie@clubcrochet.com or tag me on social media. You can tag us by just using hashtag Club Crochet, and I'll see it if you do that, if you post it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. Thank you so much again for watching. Pasta la pizza. Happy hooking. Let me know if you have any other questions. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.